Okay, welcome to Allcast, the Zero Agenda podcast. This is Erik. Erik, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. So I watched your video that you did with Justice on interesting people, and I saw a lot of the cool art that you make. And I remember growing up, being around you, and you were always making something. So I was wondering, what motivates you to make the art that you make?
A total sense of creativity compared to not creativity at all.
I know when I make art, I have this feeling like I got something off of my chest. Mm-hmm. What kind of feeling do you get when you make, finish something?
If it turns out good, I get a good feeling from it. Then I always have 5 that don't,
right. Yeah. Do you have that really bad, perfectionist things that artists
get? I get that way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why abstract art can be so cool.
Yeah.
Because you're not trying to make it a certain way. It's just kind of what it is.
Yeah, I'm into surrealism too.
What is surrealism? I know I've seen some pictures.
Salvador Dali did these watches and they were melting.
Whoa.
Did you ever see that? Oh yeah. He was a surrealist. And, yeah, he did some pretty wild drawings.
That's so cool. Things I don't know, maybe this is a bad example, Alice in Wonderland, is that surrealism, or is that just straight up abstract art?
I'm not sure. I've read a lot of Lewis Carroll, the author, and the guy wasn't just an author, he was a logician.
What is that?
He studied logic, and so I got the complete works of Lewis Carroll. So it has Alice in Wonderland, Alice Through the Looking Glass, a couple more stories, and then a whole section on logic.
That's so cool.
He did a lot of hallucinogenics. How else would you describe going down the rabbit hole?
Right, exactly.
He was a minister as well.
No way.
Yeah, and the girl who he used for Alice was this little girl that he used to take care of. And he'd give her boat rides and stuff. And so in the story, she became Alice.
So your masks that you make.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Are they modeled after things that you've seen on movies and stuff, or do they just kind of come to you originally?
They just come to me.
What's your favorite one that you've made?
I made one in Utah that had a bulb in it. You'd squeeze the bulb and the brain would pulsate.
Whoa, that's so cool.
Yeah, I come up with some good ideas once in a while.
My thing with art is I'll have really cool ideas, but then I go to try to make it and I can't articulate it. I can't get it on the page or whatever it is I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And I'll kind of give up on the idea before it ever turns into anything awesome. It's really sad.
Usually I use a creative incentive.
What does that mean?
To look deeper inside myself. Yeah, that's why I meditate probably 4 nights a week. On the weekend I have to do it by myself, but on the weeknights Treva sends energy to me from wherever she is.
Who's that?
Treva, my counselor.
Gotcha.
And we've been doing this so long now that she's able to put her energy with mine and take me places, Yeah, she goes, one time we'd been doing it for 6 months, and she goes, well, how does it seem to you? And I says, well, you're going to think I'm nuts. She goes, no. I said, well, when you come into the picture, in my mind's eye, I can see a doorway of light opening up and you step through. And she goes, well, you're having a psychic experience. And I said, yeah, pretty much. And she goes, well, this isn't meant to be psychic. I said, well, I don't know any other way to do it.
Right.
And so we have this thing now, and I'll say to her, so you want to have a session tonight? And she'll go, yeah, let's do it. It's usually about 7 or 8, and so I usually prep with a Temazepam. It's a hypnotic, and that'll help me get under easier.
Gotcha.
You know.
Kind of like mellows you out.
Yeah, I started reading about it because the CIA back in the 60s with their MK Ultra and all that mind control stuff, and they also they didn't just use LSD, but they used Temazepam.
Interesting.
You know,
I'm not really familiar with
Temazepam.
that.
It's like a tranquilizer in a way, but it's not really. It's a hypnotic.
Right, because it doesn't put you to sleep.
Yeah, unless you want it to.
You just do enough of it.
Well, I'll even get tired, you know.
Gotcha.
But when I'm doing that trance, Friday she goes, so we have this thing, so I'll see you inside, and she goes, yep, see you inside.
That's awesome.
You know.
That's awesome. So besides the door of light that you described, like what do your meditations look like for you? Or like what do they feel like?
I try not to let them look like anything.
Right.
I try to open my mind up, but not to grab. But that's why, see, if Triva sends me energy and I'm a half hour late or so on starting, that energy, for some reason, even though it's like she's not doing it anymore.
Like you're still able to like tap into it.
Yeah, we can tap into it. It's pretty neat. All I can say is it's neat because I'll do it I'll turn on frequencies on my phone, put my headphones on, and I can go under in about a minute.
Wow.
I close my eyes, I slow my breathing way down, and boom, I'm there. Unless you got a lot of stress or anxiety, you know. But then they have frequencies that'll stop that too. They have frequencies for everything.
That's so true.
And it was all Tesla who did that.
Really?
Yeah.
I definitely want to talk more about that, but we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
My name is Ken LaBarbera, and this is Interesting People.
Today we have Corbin Waltering on the podcast. Welcome. How are you doing today, sir?
There was a lot of controversy upon what my beliefs were.
We would have had a civil war.
Wow, so you think that he's that intrinsic to the political landscape?
Yes.
Do you believe that everyone should have a gun?
No, I do not.
Okay, why?
You could see the tires, and you know that you're 3 or 4 feet away from just being killed.
Did a lot of hallucinogenics.
What are your thoughts on the attempted assassination of Donald Trump?
I don't put anything beyond to people who are against Donald Trump.
You never ever put your finger on that trigger unless you're ready to shoot and you know what you're shooting at.
It's never not a surprise when you see a public figure get shot.
Do you think that we are desensitized?
I think our generation for sure is definitely desensitized to basically everything.
I want to take you on a little bit of a rabbit trail here.
I don't like a lot of the things that are happening in society.
How else would you describe going down the rabbit hole?
Right? One pull of the trigger and someone could die.
Clank.
Clank! Welcome back to the Clanker. This is an October podcast, so I want to ask you some Halloween questions.
Okay.
What is one of your biggest horror inspirations?
Well, horror's horror, but when I get into it, I do makeup.
Gotcha.
So I think Tom Savini would be my favorite makeup artist. But then there's Dick Smith, Rick Baker, John Buechler, a whole bunch of them. They're all makeup effects.
Gotcha. So, like, when you watch a movie, is that, like, what you're, like, paying more attention to? Like, the effects and things like
Pretty
that?
much, yeah.
I can see that.
When my son was little, I'd record movies for him, and so I just started recording movies, horror movies, and I'd edit out all the commercials. So, and on the tapes, I'd put the title of the movie, and I'd put who did the special effects on it. You know,
Oh, that's smart. I am so curious about the Venus flytrap that sits in front of us.
Yes.
May I pick it up?
Yeah.
Is it gonna bite me?
No.
Okay.
I wanted to get one for like 5 or 6 years now, and I just think, oh, I'll never get it. And I haven't bought one, and this year I thought, I'm gonna get it.
Is it real?
Yeah.
What? That's so cool. Well,
And
you
it
just,
has directions on it to keep it.
how do these work?
Are
Are they real? Like, do they actually
the lady at the store told me they eat flies and they eat millworms.
No way.
Yeah, but I watched one on a TV show,
Yeah.
and a spider crawled into it.
Ugh.
And it was like as big as the fly trap. And the spider crawled into it and crawled out of it and crawled back in it over the spider.
Ugh.
You could see it trying to get out, but it's not going to make it out.
Oh my gosh. I know this makes me sound so dumb, but like whenever I've seen them, they just seem like so it just seems very fictional, but they're very much real.
Oh yeah. I just wonder how big real ones get.
Right?
How big the ones in the wild, would get.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because after they reach a certain size,
They probably die out,
that or they need something bigger than a fly to keep them going. So would you say that horror is like your favorite genre?
Yeah.
Like stuff?
Horror, science fiction.
Do you know why, or is it just something you're just drawn to naturally?
When I was a little boy, my dad and my grandfather would draw me pictures of monsters. Like my grandfather made me a little book, and he drew like Frankenstein, the Wolf Man, ghosts, and he was a draftsman for Eastman Kodak Company.
What is that?
He was in charge of all the people drafting plans and stuff for making cameras.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, he got to. They sent him down to Mexico in the '60s to Mexico City. So him and Grandma lived there for like 6 years, and then the company moved him to Brazil, and he worked there for about 5 years, and then I think he retired after that.
Wow.
But him and Grandma, when they'd come back from Mexico City, they'd bring all this jewelry and gold and stuff back with them in a false bottom of the suitcase.
Okay.
That's when you can get away with stuff,
Right.
So yeah, they'd always bring stuff back, and so it was pretty neat. In '72, they started taking my sister and me every summer for a vacation. Like in '72, we went to Palm Springs, and 77, we went to Newport Richey, Florida. We went to Tampa Gardens, and we've been to Dinosaur National Monument, and yeah, they took us everywhere during the summer,
awesome.
Did
you have fun?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I remember going to Mount Rushmore and seeing that and just thinking wow, that's really cool. It's another one of those things, all the giant monuments that are really popular in Hollywood and stuff. I know are very popular in the real world, but if you grew up like I did, not really going and seeing a bunch of stuff, all that stuff just seems like fiction.
Yeah.
And you don't actually experience it. So actually seeing it, I was like, wow, that's real.
That is real.
The whole horror genre, why do you think so many people love it so much? Because I love Stephen King.
People like to be scared. But nowadays, real life is a lot scarier than any fiction.
Oh, yeah. Are you frightened by the state of the world today?
No.
No?
I just let my Lord handle it. I do a lot of praying.
What do you pray for?
Peace. If not for everybody else, then for me. Because I can get the fear so bad if I start reading the my telephone.
Yeah.
So my counselor and the doctor said I'm not to read Google News or anything like that because it causes my heart rate to triple, and I get this, what I call the fear, and it's this terrible fear feeling, like multiplied by 10, you know, and it's really bad. When I started meditating and using frequencies, that's why I started. The fear was so overpowering. And so Triva, she'd send me energy, and that's the way we do it now. We don't, when we meet up, we just talk. We don't ever transfer. But when we, I don't know, for some reason, between 7 and 8 works really good for both of us. And so it's usually I just lock the doors at 7:30 and turn the lights out and go in for 5 hours and take a trip.
Wow.
You know, and when you come out, you feel so much better.
Yeah.
You feel more at peace.
Yeah. I remember one of the longest meditations I ever had, I think, was like 3.5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And I was completely sober. I didn't take anything beforehand. I just was focusing on my breathing. Like you said, slowing down the breathing for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me probably a good hour to finally like calm or...
It's hard at first.
It is.
And it's not supposed to be. You're not supposed to go into it like busting down a brick wall.
Exactly.
You know, you got to go into it gentle.
I feel like the whole point of meditation, it depends on like the intention that you have when you go into it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a big part of any meditation is accepting what's there.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like, instead, you're not trying to fight anything, you're trying to accept things, you know?
See it for what it is.
Exactly. We are going to take a brief ad intermission, and we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Just Us, and welcome to the comment room. And today we're going to be reading comments from Dr. Abandoned Surgery for Vacation.
We were going to have her tubes tied after we had Paisley. Well, the doctor decided that he was going to go on vacation halfway through surgery, and it was a C-section. And we didn't know that till after another doctor came in and was like, hey, I'm Dr. whatever. And he's like, I'm going to take over the surgery. The other doctor went on vacation. We're like, what the hell?
He's scheduled to leave in the middle of the surgery for vacation,
We had
or he
no
just
idea.
walked off?
When you're having a C-section, they put a little cover deal to separate you and the guts and everything hanging out. And so everything's still kind of hanging out. And another doctor came in and was like, hey, I'm Dr. I can't remember his name, but I'm here to close you up or put everything back in and close you up. And so the doctor only tied one tube, left, didn't let the other doctor know that he only tied one tube. And so he put everything back in, closed her up. Pretty much, hey, she's in there. Good luck. High five, walks by, goes on vacation. I don't know.
First comment. I had surgery while in recovery. The recovery room nurse pushed down on the incisions, causing them to tear open inside of me. I nearly bled out because of that damn nurse and was made to wait 45 minutes while my doctor finished the second patient and got back to me. The hospital did nothing to that nurse. I would be suing that doctor for sure. He can pay child support for the next kid. Don't forget college. Reason you were told may not be real reason. And that's actually something that multiple people said. I saw that on several different comments on Facebook, and then I had a couple people in person say that to me, that it was probably a different reason than what they were actually given. And that's very well possible. But the point still remains that they don't know what happened, what transpired to cause all the complications that surrounded their fourth son's, their fourth child's birth. So it still stands that they had to endure a lot of difficulty and complications because of the fact that only one tube was tied during the surgery. And if that's something you want to find out more about, you can watch the full interview. My doctor stayed by my side for 4 days, rarely ever leaving me. They got some sleep the fourth night, so they would be fresh and rested for surgery. I had toxemia at 26 weeks pregnant. I don't know if I pronounced that right. Dr. Dollar and Dr. Andrews, now famous sports doc, they saved my life and my baby's life too. I'm forever grateful. My son had placental separation in the 7th month. I had been laid off late in my 6th month and couldn't get any assistance. Had no insurance because Cobra was too high. I had a previous C-section due to a tilted pelvis. Even though the placental separation was noted, my labor was allowed to continue, causing excessive blood loss. The doctor on duty refused to take care of us unless I forked over $3,000. My baby and I were going critical when shift change came, and a Dr. Lester, who was retiring, comforted me and delivered my son via second C-section. My son had to be resuscitated, and I needed blood transfusions. Dr. Lester saved our lives. I hope karma found that greedy POS that treated us like trash. This was 1983. Wow, that's quite a story. I wish I could interview you. Dude, that sounds like malpractice. Appalling. My baby and I both coded during my C-section, and the doctor quickly closed me up, putting things in their wrong place. I suffered for a whole year before I went to a specialist and lost my uterus as a result of the first doctor. At 26, I no longer could have children. I couldn't sue because the doctor had no malpractice insurance and everything he owned was in his family member's name, so he had no assets in his name. This doctor who went on vacation should lose his license. This was a blatant disregard for his patient. Wow, they just come out of the woodwork, all the stories of doctors who have just hurt their patients. Gosh, the negligence. Most doctors do this. Most dentists do this too. I can imagine dentists being a very shady gray area for sure. I definitely hope I have room to investigate that eventually with my interviews. When I had my first child, they told me up front my doctor was scheduled to go to Hawaii. They could call him in and he'll leave when he wants, or you can have a colleague. Chose the colleague and never saw my doctor again. I say that was the right choice. Any doctor who's like, I'll be in Hawaii and you can call me when the surgery's ready to go, I don't think so. Well, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you want your comments to make it onto the comment room, make sure to comment on our YouTube shorts. Sometime in the near future, I should be expanding and reading comments from Facebook and stuff like that. But right now, I've just been reading comments from the YouTube shorts. I hope that you all have a wonderful day, and I hope you enjoy the rest of whatever it is that you're watching.
Hi there.
Hello, and welcome back. Some scary music. It sounds like I don't know if you ever played Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
Like the castle music.
Yep.
Did you play video games when you were a kid?
No, we didn't have video games when I was a kid.
Oh yeah.
When I got into my teens, video games were pretty popular.
Gotcha.
But they were only popular because the only place to play them was an arcade, or
Right.
you couldn't get them to play at home.
Right.
So yeah, everybody was into playing arcade games like crazy. And then they just turned everything into arcade games. And then Atari came out with their games. They were like the first. I think there was one brand before Atari, and I don't know what it was, but I think there was one brand of gaming console that was before Atari. The oldest one I had was an Atari, and it had everything was digital.
Okay.
You know how they look like blocks or something. But
I wish arcades were still a thing. I know they are, but like not like they used to be.
you get into a bigger city though, and I think they're still popular.
So Justice was telling me that you used to go watch Ken LaBarbera play guitar.
Yeah.
When was that?
Oh, that was years ago when I would go with Mark out to the Naples bar,
Okay.
and he'd always be standing there playing. I don't think he remembers me. I don't know, maybe he does, but I liked Ken. He was cool. Played really good guitar.
Yes. I remember meeting up with him one time when I was younger, and like playing guitar with him and just being absolutely awestruck at the talent that he possessed.
I know.
Amazing. But you play guitar too, and you sound pretty good.
But I haven't played in so long. I pulled it out the other day, and I'm really bad.
But you were playing my guitar, and I didn't think you sounded bad.
Well, I could be better. I just haven't practiced in years. And the first song I wrote was, well, just about every song I wrote was to my wife. She just passed on here, what, a week ago?
Oh no.
Well, she was in a assisted living place. I guess she fell on the stairs and hit her head. They couldn't wake her up, and took her to the hospital, and the whole left side of her head had a hematoma in it, and the right side was being pushed on by the left side.
Jesus.
So they got her in the hospital. She wasn't even conscious, and they got her in the hospital, and then she crossed over there. They stopped giving her food, of course. They were giving her morphine and Ativan every couple hours. I didn't understand why they did that.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and Bart, when he called me, he was like just freaked out. Dad, Mom. I go, what? Mom died. I go, what? Yeah. He just totally, I said, are you driving? He goes, yeah, I gotta go home. I says, park the car and call Amanda.
Yeah.
So he parked the car. I said, I'll stay on the phone until you do. So he parked the car and got back on the phone. I said, take some deep breaths so you don't hyperventilate. Call Amanda and have her come and get you. You can get the car tomorrow. So he called Amanda, and she picked him up, and then they went to Brigham City where Vicky was, and they went in, and, you know, she wasn't responsive or anything. So, yeah, it was like the next morning she crossed over.
It's rough.
Well, we had 17 years of marriage, which was really good. I enjoyed it.
That's awesome. A lot of people can't say that.
I want to get married again. I don't even want to get another girlfriend again. My life's complicated enough.
Without adding someone else to it.
Yeah.
I completely feel that. You believe in the paranormal.
Oh, yeah.
For sure, right?
Yeah.
You think people go to a better place when they pass on?
I'm not sure, really.
Yeah.
I would hope it would be better than, of course, anything would be better than this. I've had just a life of pain. I don't need any more.
But there is hope.
Yes.
That was my favorite part of the interview that I watched.
When I said there is hope, there is hope. Simple.
Especially if it comes from somebody who's lived a life with a lot of pain and shit and bad things happening. For someone like you to say there is hope, that means something.
There is hope. Yeah, that's all that came to my heart when I was supposed to just say, we want to say something.
What would you say is the most important message that the world needs to hear?
There is hope.
Yeah, it's true. There is hope, guys. Well, I think we're just going to go ahead and wrap this up. I am so happy that you came on here. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Mm-hmm. And yeah, happy Halloween, everyone. And we will
Happy
see you
Halloween.
Next time.